again with another video, and today we're going to be unboxing some Bruceploitation films. What is Bruceploitation, you may ask? Well, after Bruce Lee passed away in July 1973, film studios were trying to capitalize on his death by making a bunch of Bruce Lee clones. You had like Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee, Bruce Leung, Dragon Lee, even martial arts legends like Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung, before they even got their big break in making martial arts films. They were even involved in Bruceploitation films, which I'll probably review those somewhere down the line. But until then, we're going to be unboxing these movies right here and taking a look at all these Bruceploitation films. So sit back and enjoy the show. Let's get to it right about now. Alright, just gonna go ahead and unbox this. Get that plastic out of the way. Alright, guys, look what we got here. We got The Fist of Bruce Lee, and this one's a double feature. And then we got Goodbye Bruce Lee's Last Game of Death. This both stars Bruce Lee, whose real name is Ho Chin Tao. He's considered to be the best of all the Bruce Lee imitators. But yeah, this one's a double feature. It's kind of funny because when I ordered it, I just ordered it for this movie right here. I didn't expect this one to be a double feature, so put that right there. And now we got our next one right here. If you guys have a favorite Bruceploitation film in the genre, please let me know in the comment below. Okay, I don't know how I got this because I didn't even remember ordering this movie. Maybe they sent it to the wrong buyer, but this is Breathing Fire. It's not even a Bruceploitation film. It's a movie with Bolo Yeon. So I don't know how I got this, especially when I didn't even order it. So I have to ask the sender about that, because well, that's not what I ordered. You gotta get what you paid for, guys, and that's not what I paid for. So, let's get this next box right here open. Although I think I owned Breathing Fire a long time ago, way back in like maybe 2010. Well, Leung plays a bad guy. Like, don't get me wrong, it's like a decent martial arts movie, but it's not what I ordered. Man, they got this taped on tight. To the side, toss that to the side. Got a lot of trash. I have to break out a little utensil, that way I can cut through this a lot faster. And here is The Fist of Bruce Lee. This one is not a double feature. As you can see on the back, it does mention Bruceploitation. Of course, there's Bruce Lee right there, played by Ho Chin Tao. And then, of course, you got, you know, the real Bruce Lee on the front. You know, so the other one was a double feature. This one's the single version right here. Got our next box right here, guys. Let's see. I'll be careful with this knife so I don't cut myself. How about loads of trash? Alright, this is another Bruceploitation double feature. You got Fist of Fear, Touch of Death, and Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, which also stars Bruce Lee. And Fist of Fear, Touch of Death, masters of martial arts put on a violent performance in a electrifying karate film starring the one and only Bruce Lee. And then the plotline for Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, beginning with his early years as a young man on the streets of his native Hong Kong. The film follows his early years training in the martial arts, then on to the beginning of his movie career. It's kind of short and brief. They didn't have that much to write. The front cover, it's obviously him on Enter the Dragon. Okay. We got our next one right here, ladies and gentlemen. Like the first time I was actually introduced to Bruceploitation movies was when they had those like VHS box sets with Bruce Lee on the front. It's like a Bruce Lee movie pack, but it only comes with like 2 Bruce Lee films, and then the rest are all Bruceploitation. That's how I got introduced to this martial arts subgenre. Alright, the next one right here is Bruce Lee from Beyond the Grave. Its alternate title is Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. And this one, as well as the other ones I showed previously, are under DGView Entertainment. They're a company that made these sort of movies under public domain, but they're no longer in business now. And the guy that plays, I guess you say this Bruce Lee imitator is Bruce K. Lea. That's the name of the guy. You see a little brief description on the back of the fight scenes and the guy who's the Bruce Lee imitator. But yeah, Bruce Lee from Beyond the Grave. Okay, on to the next one. Alright, the next one is Exit the Dragon, Enter the Tiger, starring Bruce Lee. And it has a question on there, was Bruce Lee murdered? In this grim conversation with his close friend David Lee early advises, if I die, find out why. Bruce's death has been shrouded in mystery, but David suspects foul play. Teams up with Lee's beautiful mistress, Susie. David uses his electrifying martial arts to combat crime's underworld in order to cover the truth. Will this action-packed martial arts mystery explain the death of the greatest martial artist that ever lived? I remember seeing this movie a long time ago. I actually thought it was a pretty good movie. I know it has some pretty good fight choreography. But yeah, you see some of the artwork on the front. And it's also by, like I said, DGView Entertainment. So, maybe lucky if you find another copy of that online somewhere. Okay. And this one's got wings, guys. So, let me cut through this. Please find an opening. Get this load the trash right now, guys. Alright, this next one is Bruce Lee the Invincible, starring Sing Chen and Bruce Lee. It makes Bruce Lee stand out front. You see the colorful background and whatnot. And I believe Bruce Lee fights a gorilla in this one. Like a funny gorilla fight scene between Bruce Lee and the gorilla. You know. Been a while since I've seen this one. But I think I remember owning this way back in high school. You know, because back then, this is when like Walmart would actually sell these $1 DVDs, and they basically had all kinds of Bruceploitation films. I believe this one was also on there, along with Fist of Bruce Lee, which I believe I owned back in the day. But yeah, Bruce Lee the Invincible. And we still got more wings, guys. Still got more wings for the next one. So, let me go ahead and cut through this box. Let's see what I can get open. I'll look for a crease. There we go. Alright, this next one is The Real Bruce Lee. Now this one is kind of like, I don't know, it's like part documentary, part Bruceploitation, because like the first half of the movie they covered like Bruce Lee's life, you know, from his acting days during his childhood all the way to upon his death after the release of Enter the Dragon, and then they mentioned some of the most popular Bruce Lee imitators, you know, Bruce Lee, Bruce Leung, Dragon Lee, which he's like the highlight of this one, Dragon Lee, you know, which I believe the second half of this movie is like, I think it's called like The Last Fist of Fury. It's like an unofficial sequel to one of Bruce Lee's classics in his filmography. And in fact, if you look on back, you could actually see Dragon Lee, which he somewhat resembles Bruce. You know, if you look closely at him. I've only seen like a handful of Dragon Lee's films, but yeah, this is a good documentary / Bruceploitation film. Alright guys, now we're on to the finals. This box set right here. Unbox the box set. Show you what I got. This away, and now back to the program. Alright guys, let's get this open. Toss that. Alright, Bruce Lee and the Masters Collector's 8-pack DVD series. Alright, so here's the front. Right here, you see Lee with his nunchucks, and then you see the dragon pose. Here's some of the movies on the back that we're going to be taking a look at in a second. And then, well, there's more Bruce Lee right there in the titles of the films. And of course, there's the films themselves. So let's take a look at these movies right here. Box. Alright. Of course, we got the Kung Fu classic, The Chinese Connection, which that was the title of this movie, which was released in the United States. I believe the original title of it was Fist of Fury, but in the United States it was released under The Chinese Connection. You don't really see too much on back. You see Lee, and then you see like the main menu of the screen, and of course there's not that much to choose from when it comes to like language settings. So just basically whatever the dub is, and it's a widescreen edition. So there you got that. Next one is Fist of Fury. Fist of Fury. This is the US title of Fist of Fury. and I believe the original title was The Big Boss when it was released in Hong Kong. But yeah, just like I mentioned, the Chinese connection was alternate title for Fist of Fury. And so you can see how that's kind of like, I guess, confusing for certain people when you try to look up the titles for the movies, because you got the US title release and then you got the original Hong Kong title release. But yeah, Fist of Fury originally released as The Big Boss, and then the Chinese connection originally released as Fist of Fury. Another Bruce Lee classic. You don't see too much imagery, just Lee on the back with the main menu and all these other menu options, you know. And then of course, you know, you got the index and, you know, the DVD itself, which we didn't even take a look in here. Yeah, same thing. Okay, so yeah, right now these are two real Bruce Lee movies, the real Bruce Lee, not the Bruce Lee imitators, just to clarify that. So the rest of these should be all Bruceploitation from here on out. Alright, The Legend of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee portrays his tragic namesake, and then you see Bruce Lee on the front. It says, everybody's kung fu fighting as modern day martial arts artist Bruce Lee stars in this colorful action-packed film about the tragically short life of his legendary look-alike and namesake, Bruce Lee. In between grueling lessons with his revered kung fu master who teaches him to fight, blindfolded, the young Bruce battles for his life in the city streets, barehanded against enemies with knives and chains, and then learns the snake fist style of kung fu fighting, just in time to avenge his murdered friend, Choi. And then you see some of the Bruceploitation action in the back right there. You see him doing some of the fight scenes. And of course it comes with the little index, and then there's the Blu-ray, not the Blu-ray, the DVD itself. I'd have to check to see if there are any Bruceploitation films on Blu-ray. Most of these are on DVD. And then we got, right here we got Bruce Lee, A Dragon Story. Bruce Lee's life, both on and off the screen. I like the cover of this one. Bruce Lee, who starred in Bruce Lee the Invincible and Bruce Lee the Man the Myth, portrays the legendary Bruce Lee, who died in 1973 at the age of 32, and this biography concentrating on his film work and personal life. Beginning with his years in the United States, during which he runs a martial arts school and marries Linda Lee Cadwell, the film depicts his first step towards stardom as Kato on the 1966 series The Green Hornet. Returning to Hong Kong, he works with director Lo Wei on 2 international hits, and then persuades the producer Raymond Chow to finance his long-standing dream of directing himself in Return of the Dragon. Also shown as a constant challenge to his martial arts mystery off-screen, his affair with actress Betty Ting Tay, in whose home he passed away, and untimely death of a brain edema at the peak of his fame. So that's the plot line for this Bruceploitation film. I believe this is the very first Bruceploitation film after his passing, because I believe this was released 1 year after his death in 1974. So this is the very first Bruce Lee biopic ever, you know. Not to mention a number of other Bruce Lee biopics that came out years after that, you know. Of course, the most popular one being Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, directed by Robert Cohen, where you have the great Jason Scott Lee portraying Bruce Lee, and Lauren Holly portraying herself as Linda Lee Cadwell. So yeah, and you see him doing some kicks on the back. And then I'll go ahead and take a look. You got your little index thing, and of course the DVD itself. Alright, the next one is Bruce the Superhero. Bruce Lee stars in this martial arts adventure. And it looks like he's fighting Bolo Leung in the front. Plotline for this one is Bruce Lee, the heir to the throne of the late Bruce Lee, not only stars, but it also produced and directed this martial arts extravaganza about a map leading to $1 billion in hidden gold. The map is concealed in the hilt of a samurai sword, which Susan Chan protects with her own fighting skill, but when she is murdered by 5 of the double lightning, Bruce investigates his sister's death. With her dying breath, Susan asks that the key be given to Bruce, which brings him back to Manila to take on the double lightning, as well as the Black Dragon Society, an Italian godfather, and a Japanese bull killer. I don't think I've ever seen this one before. You know, I've seen The Legend of Bruce Lee, which the alternate title to The Legend of Bruce Lee is Bruce, King of Kung Fu. You know, not to be confused with the other film series produced by Shannon Lee in 2008 called The Legend of Bruce Lee, which was under CCTV, and it was originally in Mandarin. I'll probably review those later down the line, somewhere in the future. You know, I got so many movies and TV shows to review, but who knows, I might dedicate like a whole entire month to, you know, Bruce Lee films and Bruceploitation in general. But yeah. Oh, there is Bolo. So I guess he fights Bolo in this one. Yeah, I've never seen this movie before, so I have to give it a watch. Alright, and the next one we have on the list is Bruce Lee and Kung Fu Mania. You see Bruce on the front, you see him fighting Chuck Norris. Okay, now this one says, with actions, highlights from more than 30 of the greatest martial arts movies, this Kung Fu Fighting Karate Kid compilation features the real Bruce Lee and his many clones, plus Chuck Norris, Jim Kelly, and more. Here's Bruce backing up the Greenhorn as Kato, battling Norris in Return of the Dragon, and making his last complete film, Enter the Dragon. Plus the secrets of his mysterious death and Bruce Lee, his last days. You'll also see Lo Lei challenge Lee Van Cleef and the Stranger and the Gunfighter. Bruce Lee carrying on the tradition with the Three Avengers and Taekwondo Grandmaster Jong Lee and the Tattooed Dragon. You got Jim Kelly on the back, who starred in the movie Enter the Dragon with Lee, and I believe he ended up going on to make his own movies as well. He knocked out a few of his own films, but yeah, basically this one has a little bit of everything, including Bruce Lee himself. Alright, and the next one we got on here is the young Bruce Lee. The young Bruce Lee, Lee Xiaolong, aka Bruce Lee, has studied the philosophy and art of Kung Fu since his boyhood, but his girlfriend says that he lives in a world of his own and all he thinks of is fighting. She begs him to change his ways, yet after humiliating defeat, Bruce vows that it will never happen again, and while witnessing street thugs preying on innocent people, he's driven to defend them. Things appear to be no better when Bruce comes to the United States to begin teaching, and is under constant attack by rival martial artists. But all the while, his unorthodox style is beginning to catch on. Finally, he becomes an international sensation as a movie star with a wife, kids, money, and everything he always wanted, who then must fight for both his life and his reputation back home in Hong Kong. I believe this is the very first Bruceploitation film I've ever watched, way back on VHS in like the early 2000s, I believe. Which I thought this one was actually a pretty good one, starring Bruce Lee, aka Ho Chen Tao. You know, of course you don't see Bruce Lee in the front, you see Lee, which I believe that's a shot from Way of the Dragon, aka Return of the Dragon. Yeah, you only see Bruce Lee right there throwing the kick. And then of course there's the DVD and then the little index thing. So yeah, the young Bruce Lee. Alright, and last but not least, we have another copy of Bruce Lee, the Invincible. What this has in common with the previous one is that they both have the same color scheme with the green. You know, they're really going with the green when it comes to Bruce Lee, the Invincible. Okay, well, since I'm already at it, I'm gonna just read the plot line to both of these movies with these two unique covers. After turning against friends of his kung fu teacher, Xiang Li Kun is banished to Malaysia, but instead of reforming, Xiang sets up a casino to steal wages back from the miners who work for him. When he also kidnaps a local store owner's daughter and he beats her after she refuses his advances. Only those familiar with the invincible techniques of Bruce Lee can stop Xiang's evil use of kung fu. They must battle the menacing Malaysian bullwhip expert and even berserk apes in furious non-stop action that demonstrates the Shaolin Grandmaster's deadly dragon, snake, and tiger techniques. And it looks like it was released in 1980. Of course, more Bruce Lee on the back, where, you know, the portrayal on this one actually shows, you know, the characters in the movie. But yeah, same movie, just different cover. Alright guys, that is all my Bruceploitation films for today's video. If you guys have a favorite Bruceploitation film, let me know, comment below. What is your favorite Bruceploitation movie? When were you introduced to the Bruceploitation movie genre? And I'll see you guys around for the next video. So if you want to see more content like this, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys around. Alright, have a great one. Peace.